Hello, welcome to Professional Skills 2 Lesson 6. This is Eloise Hunter coming at you from Durban campus. This is the one you've been waiting for, developing a professional CV and successfully handling a job interview. Today, you're going to gain confidence as entrance to the job market as you craft a professional CV, prepare for a job interview, anticipate the questions to be asked, and successfully undertake the interview. You're going to be reminded of how to craft the professional CV, revise email etiquette, and understand how self-branding and selling the self in an interview increases your opportunities for success. You're also going to research advertised positions and evaluate them accurately, successfully match your skill and ability to the requirements of the position, undertake research on the organization and how the position fits into the wider organization, create and collate all the relevant documents that are required for a job application, send in a job application, usually via email, that is effective, comprehensive, and correct. Behave in a professional manner throughout. Let's get to it. Now, all of this serves to help you excel in your experiential learning. What relevance does the 80-hour work placement have for your ability to graduate? In which key ways does the experiential learning differ from an internship? When should you begin to look for a work placement opportunity? Hint, it's not next month, it's now. CV is short for curriculum vitae. If you make a good impression with your CV, then the hope is that you get an interview. Your CV includes your personal details, work experience, educational qualifications, special achievements, along with 2 references and their contact details, which you share with their permission only. So let's think about your CV. It's more than just a bunch of information dumped on a page. You have to be considerate of the content. Is it relevant and concise? Is it correct, free of spelling and grammatical errors? If you're not sure of your ability to edit your own writing, you can always get a friend to proofread it for you. The layout of your CV is extremely important because it will guide the person who's looking at it through the information so they can find whatever they need quite easily. Additionally, if you have a well-designed, well-laid out, organized CV, it proves to your employer that you have a logical mind. Use headings and avoid lengthy paragraphs. The design is important, but don't be tempted to get really creative and flashy. Use color with caution. Keep the fonts professional and easy to read. Ensure your headings are formatted consistently. And you can use a template on Canva or Google Docs to make sure that you are, just keeping it easy for yourself, and those templates will definitely help you create something that is cohesive. I know that it's tempting to be extremely creative, but save that for the portfolio. I've recorded a video explaining how to use Canva to access a template, modify it, move things around, edit, and you can go check it out on that link in the top right corner. But here it is in brief. Sign in. It's important that you sign in so that whatever you edit will be saved to your profile so that you can edit it and access it at a later time. There's nothing worse than typing up a CV, hitting save and print, and then getting rid of the editable document. And then years or months later, your work experience has changed or your educational experience has changed, and you have to start from scratch. So save it. Choose a simple, clean design from the free options with no dollar symbol in the bottom left-hand corner. Edit the content to reflect your personal details. If you choose to use a photo, click the Uploads tab on the left side menu and upload a professional photo of yourself, then drag and drop it into the frame. Read over the content again to check for errors before you hit the download button in the top right corner and download your CV as a PDF. It's recommended to give personal details in your CV so that they can get an idea of who you are. The old days, back in the day, we used to include a lot more information, such as information about our health and our ID numbers and everything. These days, you're trying to keep it very clean and simple because you don't want to introduce bias against you for whatever reason. So you're not going to list your race group or your religion there because you don't want the person reading it to hold something against you. Even something as simple as your date of birth. I once worked for a company who refused to hire people who were a Scorpio astrological sign. So giving your date of birth can strike you off their possibilities immediately. So you don't necessarily have to include your date of birth, gender, and marital status. The most important things to include are your physical and postal address, contact number, professional email address, and maybe a photograph of yourself if it's relevant to the role, like if you're applying to be a TV presenter. Your About Me section could also be known as your profile summary. This would be the same paragraph that you include on your LinkedIn profile. And for those of us who don't particularly have a very illustrious career history or academic qualifications, we can then try and show off our value in the About Me section. So it highlights your unique strengths and motivations. You can use these questions to guide you. What am I doing in my professional life and what experiences led me here? What values do I consider most necessary for my success? What do I hope to accomplish in the near future? What are the traits and achievements I most want to be known for? After giving your personal contact details and about me, you can then list your employment history. The most recent job should be right at the top of the list, going backwards in time. You might not have work experience, and then you should leave the section off rather than including it and then leaving it blank. It's most important to include relevant work experience, but even if you had a job in retail, if it used skills which may be relevant for the job you're applying for, then you could still include that. It's better than appearing like you've never worked a day in your life despite being 27 years old. Okay. So gig work is welcome, especially if it's relevant. But if you have work that's completely irrelevant, maybe you used to be an au pair and that has got nothing to do with your aspirations, then you can include that in a different section called Other Employment. It's very important to include all of the details of your work experience. The month and the year when you started and ended. If it's still a job that you are currently doing, then you can have the starting month and year, and then a hyphen, and then present or current. You should always include the full correct name of the company or organization, your full correct job title, the skills you used, and the responsibilities you held. Now we're going backwards in time. Most professional adults have most recently done work, and then before that, earlier on in their life, they were completing their education. So that's why the work experience comes before the education section. However, if you don't have a work experience section, then education's all you got. So you're going to list your most recent qualification at the top, just like with your work, and include the month and year you started and ended the qualification, or just the year, really. It's less important unless it was a short course that you did. Short courses count. They can be highly valuable if you can show that you're constantly learning, even with just small courses. For instance, I did a 10-week course last year learning how to do HTML and CSS for web design, and even though it was a short course, it could still be very valuable for a future job. When you are doing your education, be just as specific as you were with your work, as in naming the institution, stating the exact name of the qualification, and you can also list your major subjects, or you can simply state the graduating mark, like if you got a bachelor's pass for your matric or a diploma pass for your matric. If you have ever received a distinction at the end of a qualification, then include that. So you may not have graduated from your diploma yet, but you've still got achievements, so that you can go back in your life and think about all of the things that you've done and the accolades that you have had heaped upon you. And even the extracurricular things that you did in school can still show that you have dedication and enthusiasm and passion. If you entered a film contest and you were a runner-up, it's worth listing. Okay. Include the names of the institutions that recognized your excellence, the date or period of the achievement, and the criteria of the award if applicable. So if you got colors for sport in school or academics, or cultural colors, provincial colors, put it in there. Professional affiliations and membership, I Golden Key Society leadership roles, if you were perhaps head prefect, or if you ran a club at Boston Media House, anything like that, any leadership roles will reflect well on your ability to take on responsibility. Lastly, you have your references. So you should be using people who know who you are and that you reported to directly, rather than people who just know you as your friends, regardless of how accomplished they are. So you could even use a lecturer, as long as there's somebody who understands how productive and passionate you are, and they will say nice things about you. That's the most important thing. You don't want to list somebody who, when asked, will go, "Who's that?" Okay, so when you are listing a reference, give their full name, the relationship you had with them, the name of their organization, their contact number, and their business email address. It cannot be their personal email address, because it will not be considered valid, because it could just be your friend who's pretending to be somebody. So everything has to be very official. So for those of you who are visual learners, there's a fantastic infographic showing the common errors of good and bad CVs. Please check that out. You can download the slides and click through, or you can just Google those key terms, seek.com, CVs, the good and the bad. And then a couple years ago, one of the ex-lecturers from Boston Media House, Julia Clark, made a video demonstrating the difference between a good CV and a bad CV, and it's definitely worth a watch. She did a great job, and I'm very happy to share it again. So when you're applying for a role, you don't just take your CV and hand it to somebody. They're going to say, "What's this? What do you want?" And the cover letter is supposed to explain that. What is this and what do I want? So when you apply for a role, you include a cover letter. It can be an attachment or in the body of an email. The cover letter explains your intention to apply, why you value the organization, and why you suit the role. And then your portfolio is for a lot of creative careers. They want to see that you can make the thing that you are claiming you can make. So that could be a writing portfolio, a design portfolio. It could be a show reel if you are in audio or in TV. So there you go. And the vacancy ad will usually explain to you what format the portfolio needs to be in. Sometimes they want to just click a link and see what you can do. Sometimes they want to download a PDF and see what you can do. So pay attention to what they ask for and include only your best work. It doesn't have to be a lot of examples, just a range of things to show that you can do things in different styles. Okay, qualifications. You may be asked to prove that you are qualified, and then you'll use certified copies of or scans of documents like your matric certificate or diploma certificate. It's important to have these on file so that you can apply when the opportunity arises. So there are great scanner apps on phones these days. If you've got a smartphone with a decent camera, you can just scan straight to PDF just like that. But if some institutions prefer hard copy, and then you would want to go to a post office or a police station and get them certified and have several copies made, because you're not just going to be applying for one job. So here are some things for you to think about. Should you use abbreviations and emojis in your cover letter and CV? Should you make it clear how badly you need the job so they feel sorry for you and want to help you? Is it impressive to describe yourself as a hard-working individual in your CV or cover letter? Should you use the same CV and cover letter for every single vacancy you apply for? And does it really matter if you make a few spelling mistakes? I hope that this makes a lively discussion in your class. So on from this lesson, get comfortable with your template of choice, Google Docs or Canva. Personally, I really enjoy Google Docs, but Canva seems to have far more available so that you won't end up looking like a lot of other people. Make sure that you update your CV regularly. If you haven't updated it in the past year, get to it. I know that you had to create a CV when you did Professional Skills 1, so time to update. And you need to start looking for placements for your experiential learning now. In our next lesson, we will be focusing on sending interpersonal messages, listening, and reading nonverbal messages. all of those delicious soft skills.